Let's cut right to the chase. Sifu is a hard game full of amazing hand-to-hand combat and some interesting mechanics different from a lot of other games. If you want to avoid dying and stay as young as possible, here are 5 tips you need to know. Number 1. Permanent unlocks. While not explicitly stated, to gain a permanent unlock you must purchase the same skill multiple times. The first time you purchase a skill unlocks it for that life or run that you're currently on. But if you purchase that same skill 5 more times, you will unlock it permanently. Thankfully, even if you die, the additional purchases carry over to your next playthrough, so you don't have to purchase the same upgrade 5 times in one run. I found it's best to pick a few main skills you want to unlock and focus on permanently unlocking them to make the game a bit easier. A few of my favorite that you might want to try are the Charged Back Fist, Strong Sweep Focus, Weapon Catch, and Environmental Mastery. Block, parry, dodge, and avoid. Sifu provides a lot of options to reduce or mitigate damage altogether. There are 4 different skills you'll need to learn to survive your journey, but one of the 4 is way more powerful than the rest and you need to learn to master it as soon as possible. Here are the 4 types. Blocking. The most simple out of all and definitely useful in a clutch situation, blocking is just what it sounds like. You hold L1 on PlayStation and your character will take a defensive stance. Like this, they will block incoming attacks as much as possible at the expense of structure. Once your structure meter hits 0, you'll be staggered and open to taking lots of damage. Parrying. By pressing the block button as a blow is about to hit you, you can parry the attack. This doesn't deplete your structure meter and can throw enemies off balance, opening them up for an attack. Parrying can be tricky as you may have to parry a few hits in a row before you stun the enemy, so learning their attack patterns is key. You are also more vulnerable since if you press the button too late, you'll get hit, so this can be a bit risky. Dodging. Dodging can be very helpful to get distance between you and the enemies, especially when fighting multiple at a time. Pressing R2 on the PlayStation will let you do a small lunge in the direction you're pressing, and if timed properly, you can avoid enemies' attacks altogether. Dodging is a great option a lot of the times as it's less risky than parrying, and the enemy will still be left open if you dodge at the right time, but for a much shorter window than parrying. Avoid. Avoidance is key to beating and surviving Sifu. While you hold L1 to enter your defensive stance, if you press any direction your character will move their body in that direction. If an enemy is attacking you, and you do this while they're attacking, you'll see a cool smoky blue outline and you can easily get in some hits on the enemy. What's better is that successful avoidance this way returns structure to your meter, meaning you can block more hits without being staggered so you're still not taking damage. Why you need to master this even more is the technique is critical on most of the boss fights. While you can try and parry bosses' attacks in most cases, you won't stagger them and will end up taking damage. Using avoidance like this, you can avoid their attacks while staying in striking range, get in a few hits before dodging away to give yourself a little breathing room. The only thing to be careful about with avoidance is when surrounded. Enemies attack at the same time, and you can't avoid everything, so make sure not to get surrounded is key. Also, after each time you press a direction to avoid, make sure to return to neutral so you can avoid again. Attacks come quickly and you'll need to dodge from side to side. Number 3. Shortcuts. In Sifu, you'll replay each of the 5 stages multiple times, and it's in your best interest to make it through each dying as few times as possible so you can move on to the next stage as young as possible. What's not immediately apparent is that all the items on your detective board stay unlocked even after you die. This means items you pick up like keys or keycards that let you open shortcuts through the stages stay with you on each future run, letting you skip sections that you may have died in previously. Number 4. Weapons. Weapons are overpowered. Grab everything you can. Bottles, bricks, sticks, brooms, swords, bats, and pipes. All of these do far more damage than your normal attacks and do a great job of interrupting a lot of enemies' attacks. Sadly, weapons will break as you use them, but there are skills you can purchase at the shrines to make them last longer and do even more damage, so consider getting some of those upgrades on each run to make your life easier. That brings us to number 5, Shrine Bonuses. While these are all temporary unlocks per run, these offer some of the best upgrades you can get. You have 9 upgrades to choose from that are all divided into 3 different tiers that require different things to unlock. Age. Some can only be purchased if you are under a certain age, so if you want these, you may need to purchase them early in your run. All 3 of these can be helpful. You can increase your total structure, increase the amount of health you get back from finishers, and increase the durability of weapons. You can't go wrong with any of these, but you do have to be 25 or under to unlock the weapon durability, so consider getting that one early on. Score. These unlocks are only available if you have reached a certain score in the level. You can increase your score by building combos by avoiding, attacking, and finishing enemies to a maximum of a 5x bonus. I highly recommend picking up the first and second unlocks here in your run. The first gives more structure back when you successfully avoid an attack, and the second gives you more focus when you avoid or parry an attack. Both of these are critical to staying alive, and you should be able to easily get to their score levels in most of the stages. XP. Instead of spending XP on skills, you can spend it on these unlocks instead. I would focus on the first, which gives you more focus meter. Some of the focus attacks require more than the 1 bar that you start with. And the second unlock, which improves weapon damage and impact on their structure. While not super useful against the bosses, this will make getting to each boss much easier. So with these 5 tips, hopefully you'll live long enough to see your revenge on your enemies. Remember, there is a training dummy before you enter each stage. This can be really helpful to practice avoiding attacks as well as any combos you've unlocked. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a free like and subscribe, and let me know if you have any other great Sifu tips down in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and as always, happy gaming.